I am as salty as this bag of chips right now. Hi guys, it's Mandy from Mandyleeplays, and in today's Mandy Rambles, I'm going to be rambling about the new Nintendo Switch OLED model. And it does exactly what the name says. It's a Nintendo Switch, but with an OLED screen. That's pretty much it. Now it does have other features like the wide kickstand and the more memory in the console and this quote-unquote sound enhancement, which they never went in depth with. So it's pretty much a normal Switch. Okay. Now OLEDs are big, especially on TVs. They're like the new buzzwords. Forget 4K, you got OLED now. And OLED is like a very organic looking kind of experience, as where the LED screens are more a little bit chunkier. So a lot of TVs, smartphones, tablets are now trying to switch to OLED because it looks more natural and pretty, though they might have the occasional burn-in, but we'll see when that happens. Now shall we? I'm going to try to be as fair, but I am going to try to be as direct. I don't really like this Switch at all. It didn't address a lot of the problems that the Switch right now has. It's very underpowered, and an OLED screen isn't the kind of solution that we needed. We needed more power on the Switch. Now, an OLED screen was probably going to be a nice side feature for the new Switch, but not the feature for the new Switch. So it was kind of disappointing when I saw it. I'm like, and what else does it do? And I can confidently say that the Switch Lite is more better than the Switch OLED, as in kind of differences, because the Switch Lite and the Switch might have a lot of the same games and features, but the Switch Lite was more different than the Switch. But the Switch Lite kind of warranted its existence for handheld players and stuff. And that's weird because I used to hate on the Switch Lite a lot, but now I see that it's very different from the Switch. Now the Switch OLED, why is it even there? It's so weird. And I don't know if it's just to confuse people when they try to buy a Switch, or Nintendo really just doesn't want to change up the Switch as it is, especially with hardware and software, and beef it up a little bit. Now, to be fair, Nintendo doesn't really prioritize the next gen high-tech kind of things that Sony and Microsoft does, and that's what makes Nintendo special in some ways. But also, I'm kind of worried that they're not really thinking of the long term. They're just doing stuff on the go. Like this Nintendo Switch OLED kind of came out of nowhere, has no hype behind it. They just dropped it, and that's it. Not even at E3. You guys couldn't have at least done it at E3. I mean, it's just insane. But I'll give credit where credit's due. Nintendo's not really big on, high-end tech software stuff. But in that same note, they kind of need to put more power in the Switch and stuff like that. So when I saw the OLED version, I'm like, and what else does it do? It just does what a Switch does. Now, it does have a bigger, internal memory. It has 64 versus the 32 on the Switch. So 64 gigabytes of internal hard drive is very cool, but then you realize you could fix the situation with the SD memory card, which you're probably going to do anyways, because 64 gigabytes goes like that, especially if you download your games instead of buying a physical copy. So it really doesn't mean much, in my opinion. Now, the kickstand is something that looks cool, but also when you think about it, you could just buy something from a third party who does a kickstand. A lot of this is just things that are like the Switch, and the stuff that's different is not different enough for people to buy it. And then the main thing that they put was the OLED screen, which, yeah, it looks nice, but when you put it docked, it doesn't really mean jack diddly squat. So this is another Switch that caters to more handheld and tabletop instead of putting it into the dock, which is a really big bummer because people need more power in the games. Now, a lot of people want more power, especially when it's docked, but I feel like Nintendo is really hammering that handheld mode. I'm just like, why didn't you just make the Switch only handheld? Oh, they did. The Switch Lite. Boom. So I really don't like how they keep focusing on handheld experiences when you kind of need to beef up the Switch so everybody could have a good experience, not just handheld. Now the battery is said to be the same as the Switch and everything. So basically this new Switch is kind of like the one we have now, just with an OLED screen. And the kickstand and memory card and all that stuff could easily be remedied on a normal Switch. It kind of bums me out because there's a lot of things they could have put in there. And seeing as they just slapped an OLED on it really doesn't fix anything. Now the screen is a bit bigger, going by 7 inches, so that's cool, but the Switch itself just has a 6.5 inch screen. So that's like a little bit of difference right there. And it's just so, they missed the mark. They missed the mark a lot, and I feel like they could have done so much more, especially with the whole console itself and unveiling this OLED thing. They could have added more things, but no. Now the Switch OLED might be good for people who like to play it handheld, but again, if you put it on the dock, unless you have an OLED TV, it's kind of null and void on that part. It's just like, man, Nintendo, you had one job. And listen, I do love Nintendo and I love the stuff that they're making, but this, I feel like it didn't really have much thought or passion put into it. Now, the kind of vibe I'm getting from Nintendo right now is that they really want to keep the Switch as it is, because it's a seller. It's a big seller. And the games sell millions and millions of copies. So with anything that does really good sales and numbers, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I feel like Nintendo is kind of going for that. They don't want to let go of the Switch or do a Switch 2 or stuff because they want to, keep the Switch, because it ain't broke, don't fix it. But now, almost 5 years into the Switch's lifespan, we're kind of seeing the brokenness of it, especially when it comes to third-party games and stuff. You kind of see the cracks. So hopefully this is just something that Nintendo wants to do, but they're still working on a more powerful Switch down the line. And I like how they showed a lot of gameplay of Metroid Dread on the Switch. Now it doesn't look like an OLED screen when you look at it on a video that Nintendo put out because of compression and all that stuff, but it really does look nice. Now what I didn't like about the trailer was the parts where it had it docked. Now I'm assuming the people in the commercials have an OLED TV, but most of us don't, so it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it's like, okay. So I am really disappointed in the new Switch OLED screen. I really feel like it's just a Switch, just with an OLED screen. So this is not like a rushed purchase for me. So that's one good thing about this console, is you don't have to rush to get it. If you're an OLED fanboy, then maybe you'll get it. But for people like me who have regular Switches, who play it on docked a lot or even undocked, now I really hope that they sell the dock separately so I can have the Ethernet cable in there, but again, you could just buy one off of Amazon for 20 bucks. Now, if you do buy the Nintendo Switch OLED, it does work with your Joy-Cons, your regular ones, and I'm assuming it does the same with the dock. So those are my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch OLED. It's a very disappointing reveal, to say the least, and I am not really feeling it, and I'm of course not gonna buy it because my Switch does its job. I mean, I have 3 Switches at this point. So yeah, not for me. But let me hear what you guys think in the comments down below. I would love to hear it. And with all that being said, if you like this video, hit that like button, and if you like my content and would love to see more, subscribe. You can find me on my Twitter at Mandyleeplays. Hope you guys have a beautiful rest of the day, and as always, play a good game. Peace, peace.